Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Cam, and welcome back to the 60s Project, where myself and Russell Howell cover every movie from the 1960s that we possibly can. And joining me, as always, it's Russell. Russell, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I think we were blessed this week with a better lineup. I think all the films were okay. One obviously stands out. Not a surprise which one, but yeah, looking forward to talking about these three films today.
We have, at the very least, one all-timer in terms of quality. And we'll just get straight into that. But first and foremost, if you like this video, leave a like, subscribe. I do greatly appreciate it. If you're listening on Spotify, give it the 5 stars in the words of Kiki Palmer from Nope. 5 stars, darling. 5 stars. But let's get straight into it and let's talk about a little movie some of you may have heard of called Psycho. Yes, that one, not the Van Sant one, which I'll talk about that in a second.
Blood! Blood!
Psycho was directed by Alfred Hitchcock. We all know who he is. And it starred Anthony Perkins, Vera Miles, Janet Leigh, and Martin Balsam, among others. It is loosely based on a book, and it is also loosely based on the real-life serial killer named Ed Gein. And if you're watching or listening to this, I don't think I need to explain the plot of Psycho. It's shower scene, Bates Motel, the whole nine. It's that Psycho. I'm glad Russell is like pretty much a full-time part of the channel now because the first time I brought him on was to cover the Gus Van Sant Psycho, and
Yeah.
I told him I would make him up to him for covering that with me, and now we've pretty much come full circle because that was like the first thing I ever did with him, and now we've come full circle to the original and the far superior one.
Oh yeah, 100%. It was funny because as I'm watching the 1961, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, like it's just so crazy, cut for cut, man, cut for cut, Van Zandt to Hitchcock's. It was just absolutely crazy. Um, Yeah. And just his choice though, I did like Albatross what was his name? Albatross? The Albanos or whatever, the detective, the private eye.
Oh, I know his name. It is
I
Arbogast. Arbogast.
Arbogast, yeah. I do like the casting in Van Sans. I thought that was pretty good. You know what I mean? I thought that decent enough. I thought out of everybody that was put in, I thought that William H. Macy's, I thought that was actually a pretty good cast for that.
Gus Van Sant, bless his heart, he at least got really good actors to do it. But that whole review is up on the channel for Scary Mania last year. Do go check that one out. But we're talking about the original, the best version. And it's going to be a struggle for me because I covered it for the AFI project coming up on 5 years ago, which is just nuts to me. So it's one of those movies where it's like I don't know exactly what to say about it other than it's just brilliant.
Yeah,
I guess just backstage facts. I love how Alfred Hitchcock basically said, I'll make this for cheap. I'll use the crew I already have to make Alfred Hitchcock Presents,
yeah,
and I won't even take a salary. I'll take whatever percentage of the box office receipts you think is worth it. Turned out to be somewhere around 60%. Alfred Hitchcock made millions on,
yeah,
like millions plural, based on this movie.
yeah. This was his highest grossing film, I'm pretty sure.
And it really caught Hitchcock in like his prime because all
Yeah,
throughout the 50s he was just cranking out the hits. 2 years prior to this, he made a movie called Vertigo, which I'm sure some of you have seen. Hopefully, it's brilliant, that one too. And he would go on to make really good movies after this.
yeah.
North by Northwest was a couple years before this as well. That's my personal favorite Hitchcock. But this is Hitchcock at the prime of his abilities. I won't go so far to say he gets better than this or like worse than this, but you're
This is the
catching
peak.
Hitchcock in like the peak, the prime.
Yeah, 100%. And also I read that his cameo is real early in the movie because of the fact that they did not he did not want to distract the audience because he was obviously known to make cameos in his films. He wanted to make the cameo early that way it wasn't a distraction to the film. Also read that I believe because I rented this on Prime and I like those little fun facts on there. I always eat those up. And then the other one was when this movie was in a theater. Once the movie started, they were told not to let anybody in. They wanted to watch this in its entirety. And they also did a thing with the casting or with the promotional on the film was a lot of people believed that Janet Leigh's character was the main character in the film. But obviously, we obviously know that that's not very true. But I thought that was kind of beautiful that um, just as a marketing gimmick, thinking that she was going to be in the movie for quite some time, and then oops, nope. So
No,
yeah,
she's not. And I was honestly going to bring up the whole Hitchcock order of if they're late, don't let them in.
yeah,
But you beat me to it. But I love that. I love that energy. That would never
no,
happen today.
no,
Say,
no,
I'll throw out, say, Fantastic Four as an example of a bigger movie coming up, or James Gunn's Superman. They would
yeah,
never do something like if they're late, don't let them in. Like that just would
no.
not happen.
No, I mean these people they want the money. They're not going to refuse the money. So and that just shows you how far things have changed in 65 years. They would obviously never let that happen. They want to the key to any movie making a ton of money. Let's put it in as many theaters as humanly possible with as many showtimes as humanly possible, and let's just anything's we don't care if they're a half hour late. If they're paying tickets for the movie, we want their money. So it definitely has shifted a lot in the 65 years for sure.
That is for sure. We could do an entire video talking about the differences there and how stark they are, but let's put a pin in
100%.
it now. But Russell did a bit of homework, and come to find out, Anthony Perkins, who plays Norman Bates, was paid just about 40,000 for his role here. I don't know what that number is adjusted for inflation, but that seems like a pretty low sum in like
350,000 present.
that's why I have him on here because like if I don't know something, chances are he's gonna know it. But
The only reason why I know that again because of the Amazon Prime thing. I thought that was a fun fact to absolutely throw out to everybody. I thought the 40,000. I'm like, oh, that's probably why Hitchcock kept that 40 as Marion Crane's money. Um, and they had it for inflation, so I thought that was kind of cool. So yeah, it was 300 about 350,000 current.
Psycho is low key a pretty underrated franchise in terms of quality because I haven't seen three and four in a minute, but Psycho 2 is like way better than you could ever hope for. And I've heard good things about three and four. I need to rewatch them. And then what I've seen of Bates Motel is also really good. The point I'm trying to get at is that Psycho was an all-timer, and even the stuff that came after it is still at the very least good.
Yeah.
So that is very impressive.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of the sequels. Obviously, saw the really excited about the Gus Van Sant one that I had to suffer through, and then Bates Motel. I don't know if my wife and I might have started it. I know she watched it. I don't know if I've seen a couple episodes or not. I probably did, but I don't remember. But I always, heard great things about it. But there's just so many shows come out, and it's just so hard to keep current on things, just because there is so much. Thrown out at you. If it's not on Netflix, it's on Max. If it's not on Max, it's on Hulu, Disney. Like, I mean, there's just so much being slung at you. It's tough.
Brother, I can barely keep up with Paradise.
And that's another one I heard. I heard good things about that one too. Yellow Jackets. I'm told it's really good too. So there's so many things I want to tackle. Just so little time, you know.
Indeed, indeed. But I think to put the period at the end of the sentence talking about Psycho is that everything you've heard about the movie is true. It's getting an amazing grade from me. It's the movie that started slashers, and like people were like, which one started it all? Was it Halloween? I'd say this because I mean, literally, the most famous scene is Norman Bates slashing someone. So
Yeah,
that's Plymouth Rock right there. And
yeah,
that scene, even though it's been overplayed thousands and thousands of times over, it's still awesome because I don't know if it's just I watched this on a 4K scan or maybe something of the like, but depending on which version you watch, you can see Norman Bates's eyes like for like a brief second. Like when like the curtain rips open, the
yeah.
re happens, you can see a brief glimpse of like his eyes. Like it's blink and you miss it. But I remember rewatching it. I'm like, oh, and then like you just see his eyes, and then the smash cut, and then the scene happens. It's blink and you miss it, perhaps literally. But if
Yeah.
you catch it, then you better let me know.
Well, kudos for the Bernard Herrmann score. I think it's fantastic. I think that really drives the suspense of the film. Obviously, kind of the same way 15 years later that John Williams obviously would drive Jaws. Um, the other scene that I really, really like the way it's shot is that scene where Abagnale comes up to the stairs and Norman Bates comes out and and hits him, and then you see that him going down the stairs. I think that's beautifully shot. That and the shower scene are probably the two best shot of scenes that you could take away from that film, and it sticks with you. I mean, it's just they were beautifully shot.
Like Psycho walked so movies like Halloween could run. Let's
Yeah,
just leave it at that. And just it's a movie that's still being referenced today. If anyone out there has seen Maxine, there is literally a scene that takes place in the Psycho house. If you know,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But but I mean, I've run out of things to say. It's brilliant. If you haven't seen Psycho, do yourself a favor, bid this movie a good evening when you get a chance. But let's move on from one all-time director to another all-time director in the form of Jean-Luc Godard. It's Breathless. Breathless, like I said, was directed by Jean-Luc Godard, and it starred Jean-Paul Belmondo launching his career, and Jean Seberg. And my French is very bad, so if I butchered those names, I apologize in advance. And it tells the story of a Frenchman named Michel, played by Belmondo, excuse me, who is a bit of a criminal. He lives a loose life. He thinks of himself as the French Humphrey Bogart, and he meets an American woman named Jean and tries to woo her. All along the way, he commits crimes of varying depths of severity. But this is a part of the whole French New Wave that was happening at the time. Godard and Francois Truffaut are usually thrown together. Truffaut did 400 Blows, among other things. So I went into, but Godard I have no experience with whatsoever. Going into this, I didn't know what to expect, and I thought the movie was pretty good.
Yeah.
I didn't outright love it. Maybe I just need to see it again and like think it over, but this is just a movie where I'm like, I get why people love it, but I just like it.
No, I mean I enjoyed it. I mean I gave it 3.5 stars. I liked it fine. I thought that it was beautifully shot. I love the score. I thought that was really like the pros from that. Um, Michelle's character is an absolute misogynist that you just hate. You do not like this guy at all. He's a slime ball. He chain smokes the whole entire time.
Yeah.
Um, and did you also notice that they made reference to that other '60s film that we watched, uh, the what was that other film that we watched? The one where the with the horse,
Oh, Testament of Orpheus?
Testament of Orpheus. I believe that was made mention in there. The director and that was made mention in that.
Okay, that does make, I don't
Yeah,
remember the reference off the top of my head, but that does make a lot of sense. I mean, Cocteau was just coming off, like he was like the old guard leaving, and Godard was like the new guard. So
yeah.
if that was a tribute, then that makes a lot of sense.
It was made mention, and it definitely perked my ears up just because we had covered it obviously for the '60s project. Um, but I mean, I do like the film overall, though. I thought, like I said, it was shot beautifully. Paris looks absolutely magnificent in the film. Um, there he thinks he's so like suave, ladies man, um, and he does that stupid thing with his thumb on his lips. It drives me nuts. You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about? Like this. I'm like, oh my god, like, dude, for what? For what? I'm
Like
like,
this is the ultimate example of like the meme of the meme of like, can we get Humphrey Bogart? We have Humphrey Bogart at home. Humphrey Bogart at home.
yeah, yeah. Just, I don't know, man. To me though, I mean, I thought it was good enough storytelling. I was interested. It wasn't one of those movies that was boring, like obviously like Orpheus was. I think to me, I think this was a lot better. Again, we didn't see a lot of the previous director's work, so that's why it kind of we both talked about how we were kind of we left that kind of at a standstill because really can't judge it because of the fact that we don't have any reference to actually judge that movie on. But with this film, though, I like I said, I liked it fine. I thought the female lead was really good too. That like you said, Jean Saber, who played Patricia. I thought she was. I just felt bad just because of the fact that she like, but it was funny because like she didn't know what she wanted either. Like they're both pushing for a relationship, and then she realizes, I kind of don't want this anymore. And then he kind of like it's just it's really weird. But like I said, the movie was good enough. I you get the obviously the that French New Wave, you get the feels for it. I enjoyed it okay.
I can see where a lot of American and other movies pretty much drew from this, like the young couple who don't exactly know what they want, doing very questionable things while being pursued by the law. I'll say Badlands by Terrence Malick as an example of that. And I'm not comparing the two movies. I'm just saying that Terrence Malick has a deep love for French cinema, so
I was gonna say,
there's at least a connection there.
Malik's definitely one of those eccentric directors where I could see the comparison just because his movies are definitely out there, like i.e. Tree of Life. You get that feel for him. He tries to be different. I respect that though because you don't want the same thing all the time. So I appreciate when you take a step back out of your comfort zone and try to be different. And I feel like this movie to me was different. I mean, yeah, you get the same type of line like couples are doing said wrong things. Should we fall in love with each other? Should we not? And then you have Paris as a backdrop. I don't really can't go wrong with that. But definitely holds my attention, and it's definitely recommended for sure.
Initially, I was going to give this a good rating. However, the more I've turned it over in my head, the more I've actually grown to like it. So I'm going to give it a great rating. And it's not full-blown amazing because Godard is very new to me. So
Yeah,
please keep that in mind. So like Russell and I were kind of stepping into a lot of these movies blind. Like
yeah,
Psycho, we've obviously seen before, but I have
yeah.
no knowledge of Godard whatsoever. So
No,
please, please don't thrash us too badly. But
yeah.
just going into it in a complete vacuum, I thought the movie was very well done.
Yeah, no, and I did too. I thought it was tight. I thought it was shot beautifully. Score was really great. He had some good acting. Obviously, like we said, the main character Michelle just really hate that guy. Definitely a misogynist for 100%. Chain smoker. But yeah, this was good. This is my first Godard film, so I'm kind of eager to kind of like tackle more of this director's repertoire. Um, and then obviously Psycho, I obviously gave that was a 5 star. It was easy. It was an instant classic. This one I threw at about 3.5. It's a good film. I mean, it's far from perfect, but it's definitely it gets you intrigued enough with the new wave of French cinema for sure.
I want to shout out Aaron J. from Why We Love Horror. He actually recommended that I check out A Woman is a Woman, which Jean-Luc Godard directed the year after this. So I
Oh,
will
nice.
definitely be on the hunt for that at a later date. But let's close things out this time around by taking a look at easily the nadir of the movies we're talking about this week, The Devil's Partner.
Beast. He sold his soul to the devil.
This was directed by Charles Rondeau, and it starred Ed Nelson, Edgar Buchanan, and John Allison, among others. And it tells the story of a young man who goes to a small town where he finds his that his uncle has since died, and his uncle was not exactly well liked, and he's not exactly normal himself, that being the nephew.
Yeah,
And he finds out that, well, his uncle basically sold his soul to the devil. Like that's pretty much the story, folks.
yeah.
I don't know, maybe it was just because I came off of Hitchcock and Godard, so I was spoiled, but I did not care for this thing at all.
Really? See, I was flip side of it because this was my first movie I tackled. I believe four or the three. So this was actually my kickoff. Maybe that's why. I liked it fine. I thought it breezed by at 75 minutes. I thought it was really quick, to digest. Um, what was the movie a perfect like yeah like this guy comes in and questionable nephew and then like shady things start happening. What is going on in this town? You know what I mean? I thought it was fine. I thought I do like the way they shoot the body morphing. I do like that. I thought that was kind of funny, and that just shows you how far we've come. Um, but I mean, it was okay. I mean, this is far from a perfect film. I gave this one a three, three and a half, two. I might have to back it up to a three. I think I actually might do that on Letterboxd right now. It was okay. Like I didn't not like it. Let's put it like that.
It was it sets the tone right really quick because the first scene of the movie is this old man doing something with a goat, and then this guy clearly wearing a black sheet is coming in as the devil, and then the old man keels over and dies. I'm like,
Yeah.
ah, Ed Wood, I see what we're doing here. And I don't want to be harsh, like, not necessarily. I'm just being smart, but this just, I don't know. I've just seen this story done better. It just looked kind of cheap. It looked like it was filmed in someone's backyard or like the small town you drive through, like Radiator Springs from Cars. Like, and it also didn't really help things either that the movie looked like it was being filmed like on the same cameras they filmed those 5 or 6 Twilight Zone episodes on VHS.
It
So,
definitely had that grain to it that it reminds you of a Twilight Zone episode. I was actually thinking that when I was watching it too. Oh, and his Rod Sterling come out. But I mean, I'm thinking back maybe in the '60s, this actually might have been a little bit more sinister. And obviously, it was not compared to Psycho, but I think it was still, kind of creepy enough. I would imagine, like, because it was something that you obviously didn't see a whole lot of. Obviously, you see it a lot more now, like with sell your soul to the devil, and it's done better, 100%, like you said. But I think this kind of like really kind of gave that plot line to Hollywood to do better. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah,
I liked it. I liked it fine.
I agree with everything you're saying, and this is not me being like, oh, modern stuff is better. Like, I just saw the trailer for The Woman in the Lawn. Oh boy, Blumhouse, like, you need to have a serious creative meeting. She's just sitting there, but I digress. So
I mean, yeah,
I'm well aware of like the context and just everything. I'm not trying to be like I'm not trying to be overly rude, but the movie just felt pretty cheap to me. But Russell, I'm glad it worked for you. I'm sure it'll work for others. It's pretty forgettable for me. It's not all-timer bad. There's actually some stuff I was like, okay, I see what they were trying to do with there. I liked that, but
yeah. No, yeah, I get you.
it's too few and far between. At best, the movie is short. Like you said, it's only 73 minutes long, excuse me.
Yeah.
So it's just barely over an hour. So it's quick, it's pretty painless, but I just don't remember all that much from it.
No, and I completely understand. Like I said, this is far from the perfect film. Obviously, the six. I still think Carthage in Flames is probably the worst one. I think we've talked about.
Yeah,
Out of Yeah, I think that's going to take cake for the worst, and I think the best, obviously, Psycho. I think that's pretty unanimous there. But like I said, this film does feel like a cheesy Twilight Zone episode, and I dug it. It was fine. I mean, like I said, I wasn't. I knew it obviously wasn't going to meet the benchmark that was Psycho. And then coming off Breathless, I thought Breathless was really good. Keep in mind though, I saw this one started off my '60s watch. So I saw this, then I saw Breathless, then I watched Psycho.
well, I pass it off to all of you. What did you think of any of the three movies we talked about? Let us know in the comments either on YouTube or Spotify. Yesterday I learned that Spotify actually had a comment section. I did not know this.
Oh
So
yeah.
comment your thoughts on YouTube or Spotify. Do the thing. We would greatly appreciate that. And just a bit of a preview for in a few weeks' time, we'll be returning to the 60s. We'll be covering The Cranes Are Flying, Jazz on a Summer's Day, and Please Don't Eat the Daisies. And that's going to close out March of 1960. And I'm so excited because in a couple weeks after that, Russell, we're going to be covering another horror movie called Peeping Tom, which I've actually reviewed on the channel before.
Okay.
And it pretty much like it's severely underrated and I can't wait for you to watch it.
Good.
But
I've
uh
never seen it, so looking forward to it.
but that's a bit of a preview for 60 stuff. We do appreciate you guys watching. Russell, tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, you guys can find us Notorious by Chance. We have a podcast. We just released a episode on Mulholland Drive. It's a really good episode. And then we also are doing our next for March, we are doing movies that we're going to kick off franchises but fail to. So this year we're going to tackle The Mummy, The Dark Tower, The Last Airbender, and Aragon. And Chance is actually coming up this coming week, so I think we're actually going to do a commentary uh, to The Last Airbender, which is great because I've never seen it. One of the M. Night Shyamalan films that I did not see. And we haven't done a commentary in for a long time. And I can't remember the last one we've done. I know we did one for Showgirls. Uh, check that one out. That's an interesting one. You want to watch Showgirls with us? Yeah, it's on Notorious by Chance. But yeah, you guys can find us there. YouTube Notorious by Chance. Also TikTok at NBC dot or NBC Podcast.
You have my deepest sympathies in advance for having to muck through M. Night Shyamalan's Last Airbender. But be sure to share your trauma with me when that is done, and I will be sure to give it a listen when it is up. But
I
as far
appreciate
as
it.
this channel goes, Best Picture project is still rolling on. David Lynch project is going to be concluding very soon. Small talk, talking silence. Never been a better time to subscribe, so please do so. I would greatly appreciate it. But next week on the channel, we're going to be returning to the year 2000, and we'll be covering a few more movies from there. So I'm looking forward to that. But for Russell Howell, my name is Ryan Cam. We will see you all in the next one. You all take care.